The other home nations were a bit jealous, wanted in on the action, and after England played Wales in 1882, they all decided to hold an annual festival of international rugby, or the Home International Championship, which kicked off a year after. Now, the first decade was dominated by England and Scotland until Wales finally won in 1893 and Ireland a year later. After years of dipping in and out of the championship, France was invited to join full-time in 1910. But because France isn't a home nation, they had to give it a rebrand and settled on the Five Nations. But France were actually kicked out of the tournament in 1931. They were accused of paying players when rugby was still strictly an amateur sport. They had to wait years to be let back in. But after World War II, the Five Nations resumed. Didn't always run smoothly though, like in 1973 when all 5 teams won 2 matches and lost 2 matches. Now, because they didn't do points difference at the time, they just decided that everyone was the champion. It's like trying to keep kids happy, you know, the whole, you're all winners. In the years following, other teams in Europe started to get better at rugby and actually got to a stage where they were regularly beating teams in the Five Nations. In 1997, Italy beat Scotland, France and Ireland home and away. So 2 years later, the Five Nations invited Italy in, creating the Six Nations as we know it. In recent years, there have been calls to expand the tournament further to other European teams. Georgia and Portugal have been prime candidates to join of late. It's also been suggested there could be 2 tiers with promotion and relegation to promote growth of the sport in Europe. But the existing nations are a bit reluctant. So for now, it looks like the Six Nations, or Six Nations, or Sei Nazioni, is here to stay.
Welcome to the record-breaking sports bar with me, Jason Cundy. Alongside me, the legend that is Adebayo, Akinfenwa. Bundle of fun tonight. 3 hours of giggling and laughing. I'm still yet to get a congratulations on being a world champion, but I know it's coming. Bayo, how are you?
I'm very well, my brother. How are you?
Good, man.
Do you remember the last time? The last time we was together was on the eve of the final.
Yeah.
And you won it.
Yeah, we did. I'm still waiting.
Huh?
I'm still waiting.
It's cool. You got it for 4 years, innit? So I'll congratulate you in 2 years'
I won't
time.
mention. We're going to start with Newcastle, though. What on earth is going on at your football club? Rejected again. It must hurt. Can you really call yourself an elite club when you're being bullied by the big boys? Whose fault is it? Personally, I think PSR has got a lot to answer for. Why can't Newcastle just open the wallet and give the players what they want? Same with Aston Villa. Unfortunately for them, I do not see how a club like Newcastle can genuinely compete if this is how it's going to play out. As soon as they get Champions League football, yet they cannot spend money. 03717 2233 We're joined by our old mate Andy Goldstein. By the way, he is cruising at the moment. Oh, having said that, it looks like Evan Wagner may pick up. Hold on, he might get himself. Goldstein's got a chance to go 7-4 up. I'll be keeping you updated there. It's the first to 8. He's doing exceptionally well, and he'll be joining us a little bit later on in the show. We're going to talk about Jack Grealish, getting his way to Everton this summer, and if so, can he force his way back into Thomas Tuchel's England squad? That left-hand side is a little bit of a tricky one. If he performs, who knows? We'll have some fun with a little bit of midnight triv. Get your calls in and we'll have a little bit of chat about that later. 03717 223344. As always, we cannot do the show without you. No calls, no fun. Speak to me and Bayo on the Sports Bar live here on talkSPORT. Yes, hello, good evening, one, good evening, all, good evening, Bayo. I'm waiting.
What are you waiting for?
Goldstein has just gone 7-4 up. Remarkable stuff from the Gale Force.
Go on.
Remarkable stuff. And he's just one rack away from going through to the next round. He'll be joining us a little bit later on in the show. Astonishing stuff. I saw his match earlier. Done so well. He's doing ever so well again today. Bayo, good evening.
Hey, how you
all right? You good?
Yeah, I'm very well, my brother.
Yeah?
I'm very well.
Anything you want to say?
How you doing?
Yeah. Good. I mean, I had a great summer, Bayo. Yeah. So the last time I did a show, you're right, was with you. It was on the eve of the World Club Cup final.
Right.
Against PSG.
That's correct. No. It's cool.
No.
It's like,
Do you know what? Right? I remember saying to you, congratulations being the best team in England, and you were.
Yes.
I've not heard the best being. No, I've not heard it yet. Why are you being so nasty?
No, I'm not being nasty. I'm like, look, congratulations on winning a very competitive pre-season tournament.
That's terrible, mate.
That's
terrible.
I just break down the details. Congratulations on winning a very competitive pre-season tournament.
Oh, it's terrible.
No, you don't like that?
No, I just want to congratulate being world champions.
That's I said this is okay. No? But you gave them no hope. Do you not remember?
I remember saying, I said, we've got to bring a Ray game.
You said,
You've got to bring a Ray game. We did.
No, you did. No, listen. Look, all jokes aside, whatever tournament you're in, it doesn't matter if it's a grassroots or a pre-season tournament, you want to go and win it.
You want to win it.
And Chelsea won it and won it very, very well.
Yeah.
Like Cole Palmer, he is something special.
Okay, look, we're going to talk about Chelsea later in the show. We've got Kwaku Afari. He's going to join us. But that goes to show, actually, we are capable of giving it to the big dogs.
But you've always been that, though. You was always capable.
Recently.
No, don't do this. See, what you Chelsea, and especially you, but what you Chelsea, fans were like...
Still not congratulations on being World Club champions.
I said congratulations on winning on being a competitive pre-season tournament.
Can't do it, can you?
I'm just saying.
I said congratulations on being the best.
If you won it, congratulations on being your world champions.
Oh, that's very kind.
You're so welcome.
How long does it take him?
You're so welcome.
8.5 minutes.
You are so welcome. But what it was, up until December, late December, you had a chance to go top of the league.
We did.
So you was playing well. So you always had the ability to turn up when you turned up. That hasn't changed. Even now, if Chelsea turns up, they're a problem. But to be able to win, you have to be consistent.
Yep.
So that's the thing. So if Chelsea turns up, they're a problem for any team. I don't care what anybody says. And they show that against PSG. But it's just how consistent. And consistency is what wins the big trophies, not just the pre-season tournament.
There we go. Didn't last long. It didn't last long. But you're well. How's your summer been?
It's been very well, to be fair. You have, the Celebrity SAS is out.
Oh, wowzers.
Yeah.
So it's out now?
It's out now.
Where can we watch it?
Channel 4, Sundays and Mondays.
So when did it start?
Started last week. That was the first episode. And people would have saw that,
and you feature heavily in it, do you?
Yeah, boy, listen, the crazy thing is, anybody that knows me, I'm scared of heights and I don't like water.
Right.
And it was heights and water was the whole thing.
Because you're obviously you're a unit, right?
Yeah, I'm not a small guy. I like the way you did that.
No, I know, but sometimes you see like big guys and they're scared of certain things.
Yeah,
was that your?
Oh my! Listen, if you didn't see the episode, it was me and Troy, and we had to kind of we had to do like the press ups on a mountain cliff. It didn't show how literally inside I was hella crying. Nah, man. Listen, I tell the world I'm scared.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, mate. I'm scared of heights. I don't like heights.
man. And water.
I don't like the sea.
Oh, but we're the same.
When you say the water, you mean like, I mean, what, you can swim in like up to waist high.
I'm not a great swimmer. I think in my whole career, I did like one ice bucket, like just one.
Just
one.
Scared
I was on trial because I had to try and get a contract. But as soon as I got my contract, and they said, you got to go in the ice bucket. No, not me. I'm a tropical brother. I can't deal with water like that.
The condiment of getting... Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the swim. But listen, as always, good to have alongside me, mate. It's always a bundle of fun. Let's talk about your club's involved in it very much. There's that love triangle that's going on at the moment between Man United, Newcastle and Liverpool. It did feel as though Šeško was to go to Newcastle. That inevitably would allow Isak to go to Liverpool. But it feels as though that door is kind of not been shut, but it's not as open as it would have been, right?
I actually think Newcastle have to be stubborn. If they don't bring in anybody, because look, I think the knock-on effect, again, I do think that to keep your best player and not play him, and already it seems like, look, I can't talk for the fans, it's just what I've seen on social media, where they, not liking how Isak's gone on. So can he come back if he has to stay? Can he come back from him saying he wants to leave? That's one element. The second element, as Newcastle are still going for all fronts, they're in Champions League, and if they don't bring in somebody, you then can't, literally, you can't let Isak go. As Eddie Howe's got to be, but I've got to rather have him in the building than let him go. So, look, I would have preferred Šeško going to Newcastle, because then at least he would have said, we brought in a replacement. But as it looks like now, I know Jackson's been linked with them, but if they don't bring in a striker, I can't see Isak leaving.
What next for Newcastle? What a disaster of a summer it's been so far for the Magpies. talkSPORT understands that RB likes it. For Benjamin Šeško, favours a move for Manchester United this summer instead of joining Newcastle. He reached full agreement with United on personal terms, apparently, and we expect to make the move to Old Trafford as early as next week. talkSPORT chief football correspondent Alex Crook joined Adebayo and Simon Jordan earlier today and said that Newcastle have accepted defeat in the race for Šeško.
Well, the latest is pretty grim reading, I think, for Newcastle fans. We reported yesterday Manchester United had finally come to the table with a rival bid to Newcastle's offer, actually worth slightly less than what Newcastle are prepared to pay, €75 million plus €10 million in add-ons. And I think once this offer went in, Newcastle fans feared the worst, because the brief coming out of Old Trafford, excuse me, was that Manchester United would only bid once they got buy-in from the player. And I've been told this morning Newcastle pretty resigned now to the fact that Šeško only wants to join Manchester United. No agreement between the two clubs yet, but they're working on that. But I'm told Newcastle will move on to alternative targets. Another blow for Eddie Howe. There's been a few deals that got a long way down the line that Newcastle haven't quite been able to pull off this summer.
Yeah, that was Alex Crook explaining the situation there. And it's becoming increasingly harder now for Newcastle, because once they've gone for so many different types of striker or different strikers, they're now starting to mix with the players they probably didn't really want. There's been a lot of strikers there. We've seen Howe that joined Chelsea. We've seen Delap. We've seen Mbuemo. We've now seen Ekatike. There's been, they're now, that list is getting shorter and shorter.
And outside looking in, I think the way Newcastle's run, the manager, the fans, them from winning their first trophy last season, I don't understand how this is gone from such a successful season last season to all of a sudden it's seeming like nobody wants to play foot or not. They're not getting their targets. It's, to be fair, it's come out the blue, and I'm actually curious to see or reason why this has happened, because now it will get to that, I won't say desperate, but you never want to get to a point where you're just filling a spot. Eddie Howe would have had his targets, and now down the list. And listen, sometimes, you have a short list of 5 players and you don't get them. But at this junction now, it looks like he's going to his 10th choice. And that, for me, is where the worry should be for Newcastle or everybody involved in Newcastle.
There is some talkSPORT breaking news here.
talkSPORT breaking news.
My old mucker, Andy Goldstein, has only gone through to the next round. He's won 8-4. Congratulations to him, by the way. He was outstanding. And we're going to be speaking to him a little bit later on in the show. That's terrible.
Oh,
Wow.
rah.
Terrible.
Big up Andy, brother. Big up Andy.
Oh, he's done exceptionally well. Well done him, by the way. And he played. I watched his game earlier today. He played really well in the opening exchanges. Done really well. Missed the final 7 or 8 racks, but exceptional stuff from him. So well done. We'll get him on the show a little bit later on. And he's going to be full of it. Anyone knows Andy Goldstein? He will be absolutely full of it. Do you know what? Why not as well? Because he's done it exceptionally well. We're going to stick with Newcastle. I'd love to hear from Newcastle fans on your thoughts. And it does feel as though, even though you've got Champions League football, you are not mixed. You're not one of the big dogs, unfortunately. And this is, it's hard to take, I'm sure. But when you look at teams like Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, other teams that historically have had more success recently as well in the game than Newcastle, even though they're a big club, but they're not a big dog.
No, I get what you're saying. I think, there is levels to it. They are big dogs, but then there's bigger dogs.
There's bigger dogs.
You know what I'm saying?
What are they? They're not a Doberman or a Great They're not a Great Dane, are they?
No,
what are they?
They're like
Labrador?
Labradors. Are they small with them? I don't really know the dog types. You know what I'm saying? I know the big Rottweilers and that.
It's not a Scooby-Doo. It's a Scrappy-Doo.
You said that. Newcastle fans, don't let him say this about your team out here. Call up and let him have it. You get what I'm saying?
Scrappy. all mouth, all fart and no poo.
Oh, jeez. You want all the smoke.
But the reality is, Eddie Howe, and look, there's plenty of time for the window. It's still open. There's still time. But unfortunately, the numbers are dwindling. 03717223344. Taking your calls about Newcastle. Can you really call yourself an elite club when you're getting bullied again by the big dogs? And also, the players don't want to join you. Why? 03717223344. You're listening to the Sports Spot. He's Adebayo, Akinfenwa. I'm Jason Cundy. This is the Sports Spot talkSPORT bet. Download the new talkSPORT bet app today. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Good evening, thanks for your company. You're at the Sports Bar here on talkSPORT. I'm Jason Cundy, alongside me for the next 2 hours, 40 minutes or so. Adebayo, Akinfenwa, still to come. We're joined by Andy Goldstein. Unbelievably, He is now through to the third round of the Florida Open Pool Championships. Congratulations to him. Outstanding performance. He'll be full of it, no doubt about it. Was catching up with him in around about half an hour's time. First, though, we've been discussing Newcastle. Disastrous transfer window so far. Adebayo was joined by Simon Jordan earlier today, and he had this say on the Magpies' awful summer so far.
Newcastle comes with expectation, but doesn't come with the same pressure that Man United comes from. You know, whilst people focus on Newcastle, and they focus on it because Newcastle makes a lot of noise, because it's a very passionate football club and the fans are very motivated by it, it doesn't have the day-to-day scrutiny that Man United has. It doesn't matter what happens. You can fight in the corridor of Man United and it's heard around the world. It's not the same at Newcastle.
It's a very interesting analogy.
Yeah, but you know what I mean in terms of what people focusing and really dialing into what happens at Man United. You've got Ruben Amorim that's presiding over a 12-year decline of Manchester United and trying to, and Ocean Liners don't turn fast, he's trying to correct it, and I think he's making lots of missteps, but then we probably all would if we were in his shoes. Whereas Newcastle, despite the frustrations around ESIC, despite the frustrations of people perhaps using it as a stepping stone club, and they might not like to hear that, but it is a reality. I don't think you lose very much by going to Newcastle. You go there, you're playing on a side that's ambitious, but is a step below the radar. You go and perform at a high level, the opportunity comes again.
Simon Jordan have his say on the Newcastle situation. There's no doubt about it. It's been a tough summer so far. Let's go to the lines. Let's go and speak to James, who's an Everton fan. Jimbo, good evening, sir.
How's it going, Jason? You okay?
I'm all right, matey. What have you made of your summer? You just signed Dewsbury Hall, right? You happy with that?
Yeah. Well, I remember watching a few times for Leicester. What's good? And hey, but in all fairness, what I'm ringing up for is the whole Newcastle debate. I was listening earlier on before on Drive, and the one thing that always kind of niggles on me a little bit about Newcastle is now I support Everton, the most pointless club in the Premier League history. We never go down, we never do anything, we're just always there. But if you give a city like Liverpool or a city like Manchester, Newcastle's a one-club town. It's a one-club city. It's a major city. It's got one club. You do that to Liverpool or Manchester, you'd need to build a 150,000-seater stadium. And so when you get into the debate about where Šeško's going and United's pull and where Newcastle are at the minute, you've got to think to yourself, this whole myth about the Geordies being passionate, they are passionate people. I love them, love Newcastle, absolutely fantastic. But they've got one club. Who else are they going to support?
Well, there is Sunderland there as well,
35 miles down the road.
Do you know what? The worst thing is I understand what you're getting at. And listen, I think it's when you support a team, nobody wants to feel like, especially in your Premier League and you're passionate, nobody wants to hear that their team's, small in regards to...
It's about the passionate, right? But Newcastle, the only reason why people say Newcastle's a big club is because they've got a lot of support. Don't win anything, don't do anything. They've been relegated recently. They've come back up. The only reason why people say Newcastle, if we're all honest, the only reason why people say Newcastle's a big club is because of the support. But there's nobody else in Newcastle. There's no Newcastle City.
But let me ask you this, right? Let's say for the sake of this conversation, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't quite explain, does it, why they can't get anything over the line? They still got Champions League football.
No, they've got Champions League football this season, and it's not about So, what it's about is the Šeško going to United. Everyone's talking about United, the fact of where they are at the minute, and where Newcastle are, because this season they're in there. Everton qualified for the Champions League in 2005, and we fought against relegation every season pretty much since. Do you know what I mean? We fill stadiums every single week. We fill other people's stadiums every week. So the pull of just having the Champions League for the season, you're talking about Manchester United.
Yeah.
It's even as 20-year-old boys, which these footballers are now coming through, it's still Manchester United. It's the same legacy Liverpool have got. And as much as I hate to say it, we're in the city with the 6 times European champions.
Sorry, just say that one more time for me. Just one more time for me. No, but you know what? Everything you're saying is right, but to the point where, so football does evolve. So, and I know there's legacy and history, and Man United will always be Man United. I don't care where Man United finish. Globally, their reach, they'll always be Man United. And again, you take into fact of location. So all that. But Newcastle, regardless of what, are a team on the rise. So they got over the line in the sense where they won their first trophy last season after 50 years or 60 years or however long it was. Do you know what I'm saying? Made Champions League football. So the progression. So can
I ask you? Can I ask you this question then? Right. So go back if you rewind to around 2000, from 2005 to around 2010. You go back and look at there. Man City were on the rise. They took over Manchester United in terms of started going on a bit of a rise. Everton took over Liverpool and Tottenham took over Arsenal. So you had the opposites in all them rivalries in them cities. And there was a small little period where Liverpool were finishing below us.
United a very small period. It's just very small period.
A very small period.
Just all right, cool.
But you're also talking about that very small period in the sense of Newcastle finished above United. No. United have recently won European trophies.
No. Sorry, I'm not. The worst thing is I'm not going back and forth. I always think that the pool of your Man United will be the pool of Man United, regardless of what I'm talking about financially as well. But what I'm saying is that we can't. Football evolves. So if I told you 4 years ago that the likes of Ronaldo and that was going to go and play in Saudi Arabia, you would be saying that's not going to happen. So football does evolve. And I know football does have its time span when it goes up and down. But currently, so what I'm saying currently now, Champions League football is the kind of pinnacle. And I know it's 1 year, but when you, as a player, you look at a club and you're like, okay, their trajectory seems like it's on the rise. So at this moment now, nobody's going to them. So I do understand if you've got Man United and Newcastle and you're playing in Europe and you look at both, you're like, okay, I'm going to look at both, positives and negatives. Man United's Manchester, and it's Man United. So as soon as he signs, and I know it's followers, there's that global reach. I understand that pickings, but at the moment now, we're looking at Newcastle like Newcastle are moving like they've just come up to the Premier League.
Yeah, so I get all, I can get all that, but my original point was, and this is probably what's going to spark you getting a load of tweets saying that Scouse B word, is what's it called, is this myth that Newcastle are a big club, right? Is just and it's got a bigger pull just because they're in the Champions League this season.
I do agree.
If Newcastle, if London's got just in the Premier League alone, what's London got? 7 clubs,
7 or 8 clubs in the Premier League.
Yeah. Is it 8? Is it or whatever it is? Right?
It's around.
You've got Manchester and Liverpool have got populations of like 2 million, 2.5 million people, same as Newcastle. And what's called, and what I'm saying is that my original point is this whole bravado about Newcastle being a massive club because the Geordies are fantastic people, and which they are. They're absolutely brilliant, and I love Newcastle, right? But if there was a Newcastle City, right? What would the pull be in Newcastle? And trust me, my mum's Scottish, right? And I go to Newcastle quite often. It's cold and it's wet. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying Liverpool's any better.
Well, listen, appreciate the call. No doubt about it, John. There's a couple of tweets that come in, but I can't read them to you, all right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is, yeah.
Cheers, bud. Take care. Let's go. In fact, let's go and speak to a Newcastle fan. John has dialed 03717223344. Evening, John.
Good evening.
Hey, John.
How are you? How you feeling? A bit of a frustrated summer, right?
No, there's been a frustration of not the summer of about 3 years since the Saudi people took over. Since they took over and then the rules got changed, we've not been allowed to spend the money that the owners have because the other 6 clubs or top 6 clubs, they all ganged up together to stop Newcastle spending the money that our owners have got.
I don't think it's the 6 clubs' fault, is it? It's the ridiculous PSR rules. I guarantee.
Well, the ridiculous PSR rules. Yeah. It's like having a noose round Newcastle's neck, right? Now, I totally understand why we haven't signed anybody, and the people that have taken the players away from us are them top 6 clubs. When you look at Liverpool, when you look at Manchester United, when you look at all the other clubs, Arsenal, you look at Chelsea, they're the people that have taken them away from Newcastle because their PSR regulations aren't anywhere near as strict as what Newcastle's are.
So, John,
and while you've got that there, Newcastle will never, ever, ever be able to break that.
So, John,
Newcastle would have won the league by now Had we been given the same...
No, come on.
Listen,
Come on, John, be
3
easy.
years ago,
John.
You're
they would have...
frustrated. Be easy, though.
3 years ago, they would have spent the money to buy the players that they did buy, but more of them.
So,
Isaac wouldn't be going.
wait, John.
He's going because he wants to go and win a Champions League.
Yeah.
Now, he can't do it at Newcastle. Why not? Because Newcastle have the hands tied.
Sorry,
And it's as simple as that.
John, sorry. So, are you saying Newcastle can't afford to pay these players wages?
No, but the wages comes into the PSR.
No, because I'm trying to, because they've been talking.
To spend 100 million. They can't afford to spend. PSR won't let them spend the money.
The players are just choosing not to go. So Newcastle going in for these players.
No, they're not choosing not to go. If you're getting £100,000 a week more to go to Man United or go to Chelsea or go to Liverpool, then because Newcastle can't afford to do that because of the PSR rules, then that's the reason why the players are going to other clubs.
I kind of in part agree with what you're saying. I think the PSL rules are holding Newcastle back. And if Newcastle, after a season they've had last year, they got Champions League football, they cannot progress. I don't know how Newcastle progress from here. I don't know what the answer is.
Well, they can't progress.
No,
I do
agree with that. I do agree, but I don't know whether it's changing any time soon. That's Aston Villa in a similar position, right?
We can't. What we'll end up. See, we've lost Isaac. Well, we're going to lose Isaac at some point because he wants to go to a team that will win the Premier League and win the Champions League, right? We can't do that, but we would have been able to do that had we been given the same ground and the same rules and regulations as the other.
Well, you'd definitely be more competitive. Whether you know.
Yeah, having money doesn't automatically mean that you're going to win the league. Let me just put that out there,
but you
John.
can't spend it.
No, but I'm just saying,
if you can't spend the money that you've got, how are you ever going to do it?
Man United's got money and they haven't won the league in a while. Having money doesn't mean you're automatically going to win. I'm just putting that out there for you.
Jim Ratcliffe said earlier this year that Man United would be skint by the end of the year.
Yeah, I don't know.
They couldn't go the way that they were going.
Yeah. Listen, I actually, in part, I totally agree with you, John. It is a frustration. But you say that, Manchester United haven't won anything. You've won one more Premier League title than Leicester.
Who's that?
Yeah, Liverpool.
Yeah, 6 Champions Leagues. Let's just roll down, you know what I'm saying? Let's just, you know what I'm saying? We Premier League champions are down. Where are you going?
Up next, gang, we'll continue to take your calls on all things Newcastle. We've got some breaking news this evening. Mr. Andy, the Gale Force Goldstein has made it through to the third round of the Florida Open Pool Championships. Unbelievable stuff for him. We're going that's harsh. It's harsh. Unbelievable stuff for him. We're going to be catching up with him very, very shortly. A delighted Mr. Andy Goldstein, no doubt about it. You are listening to the Sports Way on talkSPORT. With talkSPORT Bet. Download the talkSPORT Bet app today. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. Good evening, thanks for your company. You are listening to Sports Bar here on talkSPORT. Me, Jason Cundy, alongside Adebayo, Akinfenwa. Still to come, we'll be taking more of your calls on things Newcastle. What a disaster of a transfer window it has been so far. 03 717 2233. Well, first, though, some talkSPORT breaking news. Andy, the Gale Force Goldstein, has been out in Florida this week competing in the Open Pool Championship. And my old mucker has done exceptionally well. Not only that, he got battered yesterday. He's had to regather, had to go home, regroup. He's had an unbelievable winning streak today, won back-to-back games to make it through the third round of the Florida Open Pool Championship. And he joins us now, my old mucker from the good old US of A. It's congratulations to the Gale Force.
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? How are you, Cundy? You all right, son?
I'm all right, matey. Well, by the way, I watched yesterday. I watched yesterday's game, and you got blown away, right? And that's fine. That's fair. Today, though, Goldstein, totally different man come out. What did you do differently today? Obviously, your opponent was different, but you must have felt totally different.
Two totally different days. Yesterday, I played Earl Strickland, and I think I gave him a little bit too much respect. I was probably a little bit nervous, adrenaline was pumping, and I wasn't allowed to play my normal game. And it was, I played in the US Open, I played in the UK, and in those competitions, whenever I got beat, I come off the table, and I was like, I played pretty well, but I got beat. I've got no complaints. But yesterday, when I lost against Earl, I was like, I'm not that bad. I mean, I'm not great, but I'm not that bad. And so this afternoon, I come back, and it was, I just dug deep, and I totally changed the way I played. I slowed down. There was no shot clock.
I saw that.
Each shot. I was wearing trousers and shoes, and I just didn't feel comfortable in it. And I said to Emily, who runs it, I said, can I just wear trainers and like joggers? And she was like, if you want. And so I'm literally playing now in what I practice in. So I've got trainers on. If you're watching on YouTube, Ryan's panning down. I've got trainers on, so I just feel comfortable going around the table. So I played this afternoon, and I won 8-6, and it was really emotional. It was an unbelievable experience. It was just one of the greatest moments of my life. And then I came back a couple of hours later, and I've just come off the match table, obviously with another win. But it was a different kind of experience because I had nothing to prove. I'd already won a game. I obviously was always trying to get that first win, so I was so relaxed. And I played some really lovely pool, and I think I won 8-4.
Yeah,
8-4, 8-4.
It was 8-4.
And I was stroking the ball really nicely. I missed maybe one or two silly shots, but I know the reasons for it. I was trying to nick a bit of the pocket with a really easy black in the middle. But I'm playing again tonight. It's going to be late if people want to start, but it will be on YouTube. But I'm playing at 8 p.m, which is an hour and 40 minutes time. 1 a.m. your time I'm playing, so just as you come off air.
Right, I'll go and watch it.
For a man like Goldstein, congratulations. I won't even mention yesterday. I only saw today.
Thanks, man.
You know what I'm saying? I saw today, and you was immense. I see there was that little bit where I think it went four or close to it, and then you just kicked on, and was just like... So just talk to us, or tell me, what was the biggest difference from, yesterday to today? And I know you said it was the trousers, and you just came in with a mentality where, listen, I'm just going to go and enjoy it.
Well, yeah, I played completely different pool in both days. I was just trying too hard against Earl, and there were shots that naturally I either would or wouldn't go for, but because I was playing him, I was thinking a little bit too much about each shot, and I was playing safety, whereas maybe I should have gone for a shot. And every time you have a chance against Earl, you're thinking, I must pot this, because his level's, just outrageous. And of course, the respect you've got for one of the game's greatest ever players. And I just knew that I was a lot better than that. So when I came out this afternoon, there's still loads of pressure, because when I was playing my match this afternoon, I think I was first to 8. I think I was 7-5 up, and then had the match ball for 8-5, and I missed it. And I was sitting, I went back into my seat, and I just thought, if I lose this match, I will never hear the end of it on talkSPORT. They'll be playing the audio clips of it.
After the track comes out.
You lot and Cundy and Benty, and I just thought I can't let that happen. And I dug really deep, and now it's just a case of I'm really enjoying it. What's really interesting is my next match, which is 1 a.m. your time, about an hour and a half for me. If I win that match, then I've got another match tomorrow, round about Sports Bar time, about 10 p.m. tomorrow. And this is a big if, but if I win those 2 matches, I actually get an official world ranking. And
that's insane.
For me, from the age of 8, when my dad bought me a snooker table for Christmas Day, I have literally been waiting for this moment where I get on the match table, I'm surrounded by fans of the sport, and I'm winning matches. And so, to walk out the airport and get on a plane, knowing I'm flying back to London with a world ranking would. I mean, I'm a long way from that, but I just imagine that would just be obscene, wouldn't it?
Do you know what, Stinks? I was proud of you. I watched the game yesterday, but today I watched all of the the first 7 or 8 racks, and you look so different. You look comfortable. You were stroking. It just looked totally different. But here's a question for you, Stinks: can you win it?
No.
You better say yeah right here, bruv. But like that speech, I was locked in.
I'll tell you what the big difference is, right? Can I win it? I mean, very doubtful. Where I've got a chance of doing well is I think that there's a huge gulf between the top 32 and the rest of the field. And when you start going 40s and 50s and 60s, as you've seen in the 2 matches, I can sort of hold my own. And they're the ones with the pressure, right? So a lot of these players that I'm playing are sort of high ranked or low ranked, which one high, like in the 50s and 60s. They've never played on the match table. They've never played with the spotlight and the cameras. And of course, the job we do, I'm used to that. And I don't know if you're aware, but I'm a little bit of a shelf, so I like being the centre of attention. So it's the pressure's on them because I mean they can't imagine losing to the nation's favourite broadcaster. They can't afford that to happen, right?
Well, Stinks, I've got to say, mate, I was very proud of you today. Really proud, rooting for you.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, honestly, really proud. You've done so well. I will be watching it at 1 o'clock.
So would I, man. I'm locked. I'm telling you now.
Thanks, man.
I'm locked in. And that speech you gave me with your pops buying you the pool table for Christmas, and then getting out the plane and being what, Buddha? That's moving me, you know. Make it happen. Win the 2 games.
I don't want to say it too loud, but I think it's coming home, lads.
I love him.
Thanks. What are you doing now between now and when you what is it, an hour? Was it another couple of hours or so?
Well, yeah, I haven't got long. What time is it? 5:45. I've got about 2.25 hours. I've got 3 book signing deals to do, and then I've got a couple of meet and greets, and I've got to open 2 Nike stores. What am I doing now? I'm gonna have a bit of dinner with Ryan.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do, Jay. I'm gonna listen to my favourite podcast out at the moment, 21 Minutes to Go with Andy Goldstein and Jason Cundy. I'm gonna listen to that. I'm gonna download that. I think I'm right in saying episode 4 has just
came out on Monday.
And it did come out on Monday, yeah. And so I'm gonna put my feet up. I'm gonna have a bit of food. I'm gonna turn my phone on and reply to a few texts, and then hopefully I'm gonna do it all over again.
Well, listen, matey, you've done yourself and talkSPORT proud. So well done. I'm very proud of you. Keep it going, and all the best. And I'll be watching when I go home, right? Don't let me down.
All the best, brother.
Jay, listen. I'll try, can I ask? Is this a sports bar? I didn't know this. Is this? You're still on air, this show, is it? Since I left it, is it still going?
Hanging in there, Goldstein, hanging in there.
He's a troublesome one here.
Listen,
That's just who we are.
if I win, by the way, if I win, it's a long way, but I get $40,000, and with that money, I can hire a private jet. Listen, I've looked this up, and I can fly over to Mykonos, and I can meet Jamie O'Hara, Dean Gaffney, Wayne Lineker, and Katie Price. I can be there for Friday. So that's what I'm playing for, boys.
Goldstein, good luck, bud. Well done. Proud of you.
Later, brother.
God bless you. Thanks, lads.
Cheers,
Have a good
matey.
show.
Bless
Cheers,
you.
boys.
There he is, the Gale Force. Unbelievable stuff. Won his first 2 major tournaments. Wins back-to-back, by the way. So well done him. Very, very impressive on what was a very difficult afternoon's work, which was afternoon over here yesterday against Strickland. As he said, they're one of the game's greats. But Goldstein is holding his own. He's now into the 3rd round, and that will be it's live on Matchroom TV, live on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Make sure you go and catch up with Goldstein if you're still up at 1 o'clock after we pass the baton over to Mr. Paul Ross. Next up, though, we're going to go turn to your calls. We're talking all things Newcastle. Can you really call yourself a big club when all the other big heads are bullying you and nicking all the best players around? Is it fair, as we said to a previous caller, John, PSR, how can Newcastle ever seriously compete at the very top when you get the big dogs like Liverpool, Manchester United, who have had a terrible last 12, 15 years, whatever it is. Man City are getting stronger, Chelsea getting stronger, Arsenal. I don't know where Newcastle fit into this. I've got no idea. What do you think? Anyway, listen to Sportswear and TalkSport. TalkSport Bet. Download the new TalkSport Bet app today. 18 plus. BigGambleAware.org. Good evening, thank you for your company. It's Adebayo, Akinfenwa and Jason Cundy, and this is the Sports Box Still to Come, discussing Manchester City winger Jack Grealish could be on his way to Liverpool. Everton this time, not Liverpool, of course, in the summer transfer window. But first, we've been discussing Newcastle's plight, the fact they cannot get signings over the line. How can Newcastle ever compete with the PSR restrictions they are currently under? And why can't they be able to spend whatever they want? I do feel for them, in actual fact. I don't see any reason why they can't. But them's the rules right now. Chelsea benefited, City benefited. And, of course, when you've got clubs the size of Liverpool, Manchester United doing what they're doing, they still have the pull, United. That's the most remarkable thing. A disastrous season last year. Got beat in a final that could have given them Champions League football. Can you imagine if Man United have Champions League football? What their pull would be even more. Newcastle have got it. Yet Manchester United's history and the stature of that football club globally just goes to show how much it still counts for. Now, former Premier League midfielder Andy Townsend joined the breakfast show this morning, had this to say on the mess at Newcastle this summer.
You're going to be a bit concerned, yes. Nobody wants to bid big for a player and then find out he's gone to a rival down the road. So yeah, that will be a disappointment for them. It'll also be a disappointment for Alexander Isak, Jeff, won't it? Because unless they get a yes from Šeško, Newcastle, then they're probably still going to hang on to him until they find a suitable replacement. Who that would be from there would be very interesting. But again, I think this particular deal feels like it's going to be pivotal for a few other different reasons and different clubs. I think, again, for Man United, should Šeško last minute turn around and decide Newcastle's his port of call, it's not looking that way at the moment. But if he did, then for them, what do they do next? How much longer do they hang on to his act? Do indeed they completely rebuff the Liverpool offer and tell the player, you get your head down, you're playing for us this season? So it's going to be fascinating next few days to see exactly which way that's all going to pan out.
Andy Townsend this morning on breakfast, and he's absolutely right. The Šeško decision there really does look, Bayo, as if Isak at the moment, and I don't know how Newcastle fans see it, but it looks like he could well still be a Newcastle player come the beginning of next season. A lot of Newcastle fans have heard on talkSPORT don't want him. They feel let down. I get it, understand that. But the reality is, Bayo, he might well be a Newcastle player on the first day of the season.
Yeah,
and if that's the case, you can't be booing him.
Yeah, see, I'll be curious in regards to the Newcastle fans. If he's there at the first game of the season, arguably, Isak's probably the most complete number 9 at the moment in the world.
No, I'm with you.
So, but you've got and I know everybody feel hurt for Newcastle, but yet still, it will benefit Newcastle for him to play. So you're going to have to get on side
eventually.
He's there.
Yeah.
So once he decides to stay, or not he decides to stay, Newcastle decide to keep
They
him.
might have no choice, Bayo.
Yeah.
Because if they haven't got a replacement, they can't sell him. They've got their hands tied completely. They cannot. He can't force the move either because they can't find a replacement.
Yeah. Listen, I don't think Newcastle should sell him if they don't have a replacement. I think Eddie Howe's got to say, look, you know what, you're not going.
No.
Listen, forcing moves, players have done it time and time again. We know that. I think the Arsenal striker did that recently. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they force moves all the time. I'm not saying it's right, but Eddie Howe and Newcastle have to stay firm. And I'm not telling Newcastle fans how to feel, but if he's a Newcastle player, and I'm not saying you just use him that he's hired, but it will benefit the club while he's there. For them to then be able to say, all right, cool, in January, we may have to go and find a replacement or at the end of the season. But if he's a Newcastle player, you've got to, in my opinion, you've got to back him because it will then benefit Newcastle because of how good of a player he is.
All Arsenal fans and City fans and Chelsea fans are watching it going, hope Newcastle can't get replaced. We can't have Isak go to Liverpool, can we? 03717223344 is number. Dave's called, a Man United fan. All right, Dave-o?
Hi there, how you doing?
Hey,
very good, bud. Welcome to the show. What's your point, please, bud?
Well, I've been listening and I've heard a few Newcastle fans on, and to be honest, they're starting to sound a little bit whiny, and dare I say it, entitled. It's kind of like that, why wouldn't they let us just buy a league title? Come on, you know? It's not a financial competition, it's a sporting competition. And to talk about Manchester United, they've done it the right way, organically. So I heard a guy on earlier saying Newcastle will never break into the big boys now because the door's been closed behind us. Well, you want to break in 2 years after the purchase? Maybe come back in 50 years' time when you've had years of success or decades to grow organically. But it's a bit like, we've got the big owner now. Just let us buy a league. Come on, why can't we buy a league title?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the reality is, how will Newcastle, from this position here, how can Newcastle ever seriously kind of compete against those teams? Because it does feel a bit of a closed shop. I understand what they're saying. You're also absolutely right about what you're saying about, look, it's not, and it's financial dope. I know my club have done it in the past and we've definitely benefited. Manchester City have as well. But, when you're the biggest club in the world like Manchester United, you have got an advantage over that. And Liverpool, you do have an advantage. But
more Man United, though.
Huh?
More Man United. I mean, the reason why I say that, right? Because I get it, Man United fans, and I get it over the legacy, but because you don't have the problem of, you have the global pool. So it doesn't matter how bad of a season United have. If Man United go in for a player, they will be able to have a conversation with the player. And that's just because of the pool of Man United.
Despite how bad they've been recently as well.
Yeah, I mean, literally. And so it's...
They've earned that, though.
No, and I'm not taking that away, in regards to what Man United's earned over the years. But then again, this is where I understand the frustrations of Newcastle, because everybody else was seen to, if they get a rich owner, you should then be able to. And again, money doesn't guarantee that you're going to win leagues, but it gives them the option to be able to say, okay, we can go and try and strengthen our squad. Even I'm listening now, Newcastle are, as much as they've got all the money in the bank, they can't spend it. So they can't then slowly.
I'm not sure it's a good thing either. I'd like to, personally, I know it would ultimately have an effect on my club, but I actually feel that Newcastle and Aston Villa, every club should be able to spend what they want. My own personal opinion.
I agree. So do I. I agree. If you've got rich owners and you can say buy it, and I'll keep coming back to saying this, I think Man United have shown recently, and the same with Chelsea. Chelsea spent £1 billion, and they haven't won the league.
World champion. Just say world champion.
You know, you know what I'm saying? They won a good pre-season tournament, but they haven't won the league, and they spent £1 billion. Man United, we've talked, I don't know, Alex Crook has, you know, bellowed as the way it's run, but they've spent a lot of money and haven't won a Premier League. So money doesn't guarantee.
No, it doesn't. No.
But I do agree that if you do have rich owners, you should be able to go and make as strong as your squad as you want. That's in my opinion.
Before we go to a break, let's go and speak to Joe, who's a Huddersfield fan. All right, Joe boy.
Hi, fellas. You okay?
Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. You know, I feel like Newcastle at this point overshot it and have gone a bit too big for the boots. You know, someone like to sign people like Joe Linton, Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali. You know, they've got a lot of good players in that squad, and they signed them at that point. But they're all in poor situations at the time. So they're now thinking they can go get someone like Ekitike, they can go get someone like Šeško, and I just don't think it's the case. I think they've got a lot of good talent there, but the infrastructure's just not there. They've done it the wrong way around for me. You know, they should have focused on the training ground first, should have focused on everything else behind the scenes before they went and got the big players, before they went and got everything else, because it's just not worked.
Well, when you say it hasn't worked, I don't think that's true, is it? I mean, they've got Champions League football for the first time in decades. You know, they've won their first trophy for the first time in a generation. You know, they're moving in the right direction. I don't think you say it hasn't worked. I mean, I take your point about the training ground, because that PSR is not affected. Whatever you spend on the infrastructure at the club, ground, training ground, whatever, that doesn't come into PSR. That's not affected by that. So they could,
okay, so
and I'm sure they probably still are doing that.
Maybe it's not quite worked. I think it's worked too fast to an extent. You know, they've not moved forward in the right way. They've not progressed forward in a good amount of time. You know, they've come up within a few years. They've gone straight in the Champions League, and it's like they almost needed to take a step back. They almost needed to be like, right, well, what can we do to make this more long term? What can we do to make this more organically? And that's not necessarily the Saudi owners' fault. That's more on the case of like Mike Ashley. They were you know, restricted for years under Mike Ashley moving forward. But, you know, I just feel like they could have done it a lot more organically, and they definitely could have got it in a longer term vision more than anything else, you know?
You know, if I'm honest, I think actually their progression or their trajectory it's organic. They got Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe steadied the ship. And exactly where the players they brought in, they worked on the training ground. He had a culture that come in that was very hard working. And then, okay, of course, they won a trophy. They're in Champions League. But it actually doesn't matter what they kind of win, because they're always going to be up against geographically and legacy. That's always what they're going to be up against.
The last couple of weeks has shown that.
Yeah, and that's what it is. But so then I do feel that sometimes you then have to overpay. So we know if you're going out to work in certain places, you're like, okay, look, to be able to, and again, listen, I'm not saying anything about Newcastle as a place. Don't come and rip or come and get angry with me. But as we've seen, then the people at Newcastle should be able to say, all right, we're going to give you a little bit extra to come instead of going to stay at the places like London, Manchester, Liverpool. And again, so that's why I think organically they are moving in the right direction. When you make the Champions League, that's when you then go, okay, we need a better caliber player. Yeah. You know,
it's keeping hold of them now. That's another. They can't keep hold of the jewel in the crown, and that, I think, it tells you all you need to know about the big dogs and Newcastle. 03717223344. Keep the calls coming, gang. He's Adebayo, Akinfenwa. I'm Jason. Next up, we're going to be talking Jack Grealish and still taking your calls on all things Newcastle and Šeško. You are listening to Sports While here on talkSPORT with talkSPORT Bet. Download the new talkSPORT Bet app today. 18 plus begambleaware.org.
The Six Nations, where giants do battle and legends are made. Epic sports which demands an epic voiceover every time. And actually has an interesting story as well. It all started back in 1871 when Scotland beat England in the very first international rugby match. The other home nations were a bit jealous, wanted in on the action, and after England played Wales in 1882, they all decided to hold an annual festival of international rugby, or the Home International Championship, which kicked off a year after. Now, the first decade was dominated by England and Scotland until Wales finally won in 1893 and Ireland a year later. After years of dipping in and out of the championship, France was invited to join full-time in 1910. But because France isn't a home nation, they had to give it a rebrand and settled on the Five Nations. But France were actually kicked out of the tournament in 1931. They were accused of paying players when rugby was still strictly an amateur sport. They had to wait years to be let back in. But after World War II, the Five Nations resumed. Didn't always run smoothly though, like in 1973 when all 5 teams won 2 matches and lost 2 matches. Now, because they didn't do points difference at the time, they just decided that everyone was the champion. It's like trying to keep kids happy, you know, the whole, you're all winners. In the years following, other teams in Europe started to get better at rugby and actually got to a stage where they were regularly beating teams in the Five Nations. In 1997, Italy beat Scotland, France and Ireland home and away. So 2 years later, the Five Nations invited Italy in, creating the Six Nations as we know it. In recent years, there have been calls to expand the tournament further to other European teams. Georgia and Portugal have been prime candidates to join of late. It's also been suggested there could be 2 tiers with promotion and relegation to promote growth of the sport in Europe. But the existing nations are a bit reluctant. So for now, it looks like the Six Nations, or Six Nations, or Sei Nazioni, is here to stay.
Hello, good evening. You are listening to the Sports Bar here on talkSPORT. Jason Cundy alongside Adebayo. Akinfenwa still to come. We're joined by European football expert Kevin Hatchett to talk about the Carlos Balibas' potential move to Manchester United. And so many Newcastle callers. They're continuing to come in. 03717 22 33 We'll try and get you on in a second. But first, the Championship returns this week. Yes, she's back. And as always, talkSPORT is your home of the EFL.
Johnson plays it through. Smolix is onside. Smolix hits it through the legs of Edison, and it's in. What a start for Ipswich Town.
It's going to be tough. I think we're going to be, made to work for every single point.
Goes right to Haaaaas into the penalty area, shooting and scoring. A lightning break from Sheffield United.
Wrexham able to build from that. Ollie Rathbone, edge of the area, right-footed shot, and a screamer to open the scoring at the Racecourse Ground.
Good ball inside the area, and Stansfield does it again. And Birmingham City have turned this around, and they lead.
Well, I want these players to know they have all the support they need for them to go out there and accomplish their goals.
And then Downs! And Flynn Downs has driven in the equaliser, and Southampton have come up with the equalising goal. Gets the cross in left-footed, Radoni! Coventry lead! Comes back to Ayu, hits it well! Hits it into the bottom corner! 2-0 to Leicester City.
Yes, the Championship is back. It gets all started on Friday as newly promoted Birmingham City host Ipswich Town live here on talkSPORT. That's at 8 o'clock. First off, though, we're going to get our attention now. We'll turn attention to Manchester City winger Jack Grealish, who has been approached by Everton over a possible loan move this summer. Former Aston Villa striker Gabby Agbonlahor was on Drive last week, and he said that swapping Manchester for Merseyside could be a good move for the Englishman.
he should look at it as it's a World Cup year. Can I go on loan somewhere where the team's going to play to my strengths? That's what I'd be saying if I was him. Is David Moyes going to create a squad of players who've got an exciting player, NDI, on the left-hand side, a team where I'm going to play in that number 10 position or on the left, and I'm going to enjoy my football, I'm going to get my goals and assists. And then you look at it at the end of next year, still have a year left in Manchester City, and say, has that opened the door for a bigger move?
Gabby talking to Goldstein on Drive last week, and it's a topic of conversation. Clearly, he was surplus to requirements when Pep decided not to take him to the Club World Cup. He left him back in England. That clearly he's got to find a new club. But what I found interesting, Matt just said that in the news, Bayo, that Manchester City want whoever he goes out on loan to pay pretty much the whole of his wages.
Yeah,
I don't know how they can expect that to happen.
That can't be true.
I don't know how they have to.
It just limits in.
There's only so many clubs in the world that can afford that.
So that must mean they don't want him to go. You can't. It can't unless they're trying to have a negotiation stance.
Yeah.
So they can try and get as much.
Yeah.
So that's their negotiation, because who's going to be able to afford 300,000? I think that's one big reason why clubs couldn't afford to pay a fee for him, because of what he's on. So that whole 300,000, listen, and I can't see if it's talking to Everton, and again, I don't know how, but I can't see Everton paying 300,000 for Grealish on loan.
No,
I just really can't see it happening
in the world that can do that. But it is a big summer for a lot of English boys. Well, in fact, every single international, I just say English, but every single international player going into the season, because it is a World Cup year.
Yeah.
Rashford's gone out to Barcelona to try and reignite his career. He's done all right at Villa. I don't think it was brilliant, but done all right.
Yeah.
Jack Grealish is one of these boys that he will feel, and rightly so, that he's got a chance of being on that journey with Thomas Tuchel. But that left hand side, it's not like on the right. It feels a bit different. You know, it seems there's more competition. It feels out on that right hand side.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think the right Saka. I think that we know that, and nobody's really grabbed the left-handed side. Nobody's grabbed it. So that's the point where, for me, I think Jack. And I say Jack, I think Jack needs to go out and just play.
Yeah.
You know, he needs to go out and play, get his love back for football. And I think that's what Rashford did at Aston Villa. He went back and I think it was of course, it's Barcelona. So, but go out and play. Go play football. And it's that whole loan, I think, is ideal. And what Gabby said, look, go there and go and be arguably the big fish in a small pond. Go out there, enjoy it, let it fall on your shoulders, take the pressure, and see where it leads. I think he needs to go out there and listen. If Jack Grealish does turn up and gets back to his best, I guess early City and definitely Aston Villa, Jack Grealish, then brother, it can only be a great thing for England coming to the World Cup.
Totally agree. Any thoughts on that? 03717223344. Maybe Spurs as well. James Maddison, of course, picked up that dreadful injury. That almost probably counts him out for the World Cup. It's a huge amount of the season he's going to miss. I feel desperately sorry for the boy. Let's go and speak to Dylan now. We're talking Newcastle still. As a Newcastle fan, Dylan, good evening.
All right, mate. Good evening.
How you doing, bud? Okay,
bro.
Hi, good mate. I'd just like to say it's an honour as well to be speaking to Akinfenwa, because 10 years ago I'm 22 now, so I used to be playing FIFA 10 years ago, and Barbo, Akinfenwa, if you said it was in 10 years' time you'll be speaking to them on the radio, I wouldn't believe it, because we always used to buy the top players. It used to be worth 300-400k on FIFA.
So what was he like? So tell me about this. I've heard this before, right? So you tell me.
I'm sorry, right? Dylan. Let me just say, the way JC's looking at me.
No.
He's looking at me. Dylan, just tell him. Just tell, because he's looking at me like.
I've heard about this, mate. No, I've heard about this. So what was he like in your team?
No, because I've spoken to some legends on talkSPORT, right? I've been on the sports bar a few times, right? But in terms of being because I say I'm only 22, right? And FIFA was a big part of me growing up, right? And Akinfenwa in the game was the biggest. He'd be worth millions, worth more than Messi.
That was a problem in the game. Not in real life. Not in real life. But in real life, I tell the kids that. Hey, Dylan, don't jump on that. Don't jump on that. Yeah, keep backing me.
But anyways, mate, I was just going to say what you were on about Newcastle before. I think you were absolutely spot on. The lads that you had on before, that Dave, the Scottish lads, I don't know what team you support, but in that lad from Huddersfield, Yeah, well, he was Scottish and anyway, but they were talking absolutely rubbish, mate, right? Newcastle is organically, what Eddie Howe has done, right? He's bought, what he's done to Eddie Murphy, no, not Eddie Murphy, Jacob Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's funny, though.
They're trading places.
He's funny, though.
Yeah, no, Jacob, Jacob Murphy. No, Joe Linton, mate, as well. Joe Linton, what he's done, Eddie Howe, right, in my opinion, apart from Guardiola, he's probably the best manager in the league. He turns bang average players into world beaters, right? And if Isaac goes to Liverpool, I'm not really bothered because I trust Eddie, and I believe that he'll get somebody in that can replace Isaac and do just as good of a job, because I think he's a top class manager, and I'm just looking forward to the league. And I think if Isaac stays, he doesn't look like one of them one of them players who's going to like down tools. I think he'll still play like the best he can, you know.
How would Newcastle fans take to him if he stays? How would the Newcastle fans take to him?
Mate, I don't care if he's... mate, he won us the League Cup. Right? In my opinion, right, it doesn't make a difference if he leaves or goes. I make no difference. Like, any player who's wearing a Newcastle shirt, I'm supporting them. But I'm in the minority saying that. But, if he goes to Liverpool, I wish him all the best, but I hope he stays. But like I say, if he goes, I think we'll get a good replacement because the recruitment, I can't think of one bad signing Eddie Howe's made.
Eddie Murphy, maybe? Dylan, I've got to say, I can't get over that moment. I'm not listening to a word you said there because I was laughing too much. Do you know what? You know you're on Clips of the Week on Friday, don't you? You know that there's no way you're getting away with that one.
Mate, I hope I'm on Clips of the Week so I can show me mates.
Oh, God, you tell him. He did it on purpose. He said, what? Eddie Murphy. My bad, delirious.
Aye. The B-sack and Fenwa, man. I'm buzzing to speak to you, man.
Aye, blessings, brother. Aye, blessings.
Dylan, listen, you're a good lad, good sport. It's getting clipped up.
Best, man. Good night, mate. God bless.
Keep listening, mate, because we'll play that out again. So,
I will, mate.
Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy. Would you say delirious? That was his stand-up, wasn't it?
That was his stand-up.
His stand-up.
Eddie Murphy was the king, man. He's the king.
Yeah, and you can't believe Eddie Murphy's playing for Newcastle. What shot? Hey, they can't sign any other players, right? They got Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Do you know what happened? He'll end up signing for Man United.
That's bad. You're bad. You're a troll, you.
Eddie Murphy signed for Man United.
Oh,
you couldn't make it up.
Fair. Do you know what the thing is, though? What Dylan was saying, I think Eddie Howe, I think there was a time when I think Gordon was throwing a strop and he made him train with the under-23s and got him back. I think Eddie Howe, I think he's right.
It's proved what a good manager he is, right?
Yeah,
it's been a tough window for them, and they will be disappointed they've not been able to get the players in they want. There's no doubt about that. But he's proven what a good manager is. But the window's still open. It's not shut yet. There's still time.
So if they sell Isak for 150 million, they can then, of course, go use that. To go and
the problem going to have though, there's going to be this tax, isn't there? So everyone's going to go, hold on, you lot, you just see what you lot
big money. Yeah, so that money goes on somebody who's not really worth 100 million. But
Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, but Eddie Murphy. Boy, if you go get 100 million for Eddie Murphy, I'll be coming to watch you play ball. I'll tell you that. Nah, man. I'll come out Newcastle for Eddie Murphy.
Dylan, just wait there, mate. That'll be clipped up. Don't worry. No doubt about it. Clips of the Week will be all over that. I believe they're doing it now. The guys behind the glass. We've clipped that. We'll play that out in a second as well. Next up, we'll be joined by European football expert Kevin Natchard to run us through the Carlos Baleba potential move to Manchester United. This is the Sports We're here on Talk. What did you say again?
Eddie Murphy.
Say again.
Eddie Murphy.
Who, Murphy?
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy.
I want to hear the context. Can we get the clip of how he comes to the fact that he's going to do it during the break? You are listening to Sports here on TalkSport. TalkSport Bet. Download the new TalkSport Bet app today. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Eddie Murphy.
Good evening, you are listening to the record-breaking sports bar here on talkSPORT. Cundy and Akinfenwa up until 1 o'clock. Mr. Paul Ross picks up the back, takes you Lucky People Live until 5. Still to come, we'll be going through the back pages in around about half an hour's time. We're waking up to you tomorrow with your breakfast. And we have a little bit of midnight triv as well. Get your calls in to help myself and Bayo. 03717223344. First off, though, it's now time to look at the latest transfer. Tittle tattle with talkSPORT Bet.
Bring it on with talkSPORT Bet. From weekly broadcast boosts to lucky dips and brilliant bet builders, bring it on at talksportbet.com. 18+ gambleaware.org.
And we have a number of big brains that can go through this, and we've got another big brain tonight. So it's Kevin Hatchard. Good evening, Kev.
How are we, Murphy? Well,
yeah, very well. How was going on, Kev?
Nearly got it there. Nearly dovetailed it.
Kev, let's
I'll
dive.
work on that.
let's dive straight into it. The Šeško, we can't finish the show or even get past you without talking about Šeško. Looks almost certainly like he's going to join Manchester United. Was there any ever doubt? Because from what I listening to you and Ben Jacobs and Alex Crook, it did feel as though this was always probably going to happen.
Yeah, that seemed the feeling that of the two, he preferred to go to Manchester United. And I think what it does underline is that as a club, it still has enormous pulling power. I think it also underlines that Šeško backs himself, that he can thrive where other players have failed at Old Trafford. And I think it also says a lot about the pulling power of Ruben Amorim as well, because I think he is a widely respected coach. I think you look at what he's done with attacking players at Sporting, for example, they've thrived under him. But it is a big call to choose Manchester United over a Champions League club, which is what Newcastle currently are. So if this does go through, it's a bet on Šeško by Manchester United in terms of what he can produce, not just now, but in the next few years. But it's also a bet from Šeško on them that they can actually turn things around under Amorim.
So look, Šeško's 22. So they did the same thing Man United in regards to bringing in Højlund in regards of a young striker. Do you think that Man United would have to show a little bit of patience, or the Man United fans would have to show a little bit of patience if he doesn't hit the ground running? Or could it be the history again going twice in regards that Højlund didn't really hit the ground running. So how do you think it'll work out?
I really feel for Højlund because I think he hasn't been given that requisite patience, not by the club necessarily, actually, because they have given him or tried to give him a fair few games. Amorim has talked him up publicly. But what you have is a situation where you have a striker who has just lost his confidence and who hasn't quite hit the mark in the way we thought he might. I think Šeško's better. I was optimistic about Højlund, not necessarily being like a world-beating striker, but I thought he could do well at Old Trafford. I thought they paid a bit too much, but I could understand why they brought him in, because he'd looked very promising at Atalanta, as many strikers under Gasperini have done. But I do think Šeško has a longer track record, if you look at what he's done. I think if you look at what he's done in the Bundesliga, it's been impressive. Not just goals, but assists as well. Not just goals in the Bundesliga, but in the Champions League as well. And I think actually, you just look at Šeško, you just watch his game for a bit. You see the height, you see the speed, you see the touch, you see the ball striking. It's all there. And he clearly backs himself to be able to thrive at Old Trafford.
What parts of his game, Kev, is he going to have to improve? At 22, you're never the finished article. He's got all the raw ingredients, as you've highlighted, but I think Højlund did as well. I look at him and you think, God, there's something there to work with. It just hasn't happened for whatever reason. But when you look at Šeško, what are the things that you'd say that need to improve? Because we know the Premier League is very different.
I think decision-making, sometimes he'll pass when he should shoot, and vice versa. Occasionally his link-up play could be a little bit ragged, but generally it's quite good. But I think that will come. I think with good coaching, he can make that leap. You're absolutely right. At 22, you're not expecting him to be the finished article, and he's definitely not that. But I think if you look at the strong parts of his game, he's exceptional in the air. He attacks the ball really, really well. Scores spectacular goals. His finishing is very good. If you look at the numbers, he's well above expected goals figures. So, yeah, I think just being a little bit tidier with his work here and there, and probably just that decision-making, being a little bit more clinical in the final third. But there's a lot to like about his game already.
All right, Kev, so I'm interested in this. Reports suggest that Liverpool are showing an interest in signing France and PSG winger Bradley Barcola. Is this, I mean, is there any truth in that?
Well, I think there's an interest there because Liverpool have been interested in him for quite some time. And obviously with Luis Diaz going to Bayern, that opens up a spot on that left-hand side. The only thing with Barcola is that Bayern were very interested in him earlier in the window, and the briefing that was coming out of PSG was that he was absolutely not for sale and he wasn't interested in a move. Now, the truth of it is, if you look at what their starting 11 is, generally, he's not in it. At left wing, Kvaratskhelia is ahead of him. And at striker, Dembele is probably ahead of him as well. But they're not always going to be fit. PSG are going to play a lot of games. And I think Barcola would get a lot of game time if he stayed put. So it wouldn't surprise me if the interest is there because Liverpool have still got money to spend, amazing as that may seem. But the general feeling was around when Bayern were knocking on that door was that he was not for sale for any price. But, we know that's not necessarily true. Everybody's got a number.
Reports say that Manchester United are interested in Carlos Baleba, and in the break, myself and Bayo were discussing this kid. He's a little bit of the Caicedo mould, incredibly aggressive, got energy to burn. He every time I've seen him, Kev, I come away impressed. He's still young, and maybe another year or two seasons at Brighton may well have helped his development. But Manchester United have clearly seen the potential this boy has, but he really can be some player, I think.
Oh, he's so exciting, I think. They need that mobility and that dynamism in midfield. And I think he can bring that. It shows the work that Brighton have done to develop him, because actually he hadn't played that many.
Sorry, Kev, was he the next? Cause you know what Brighton are like, how they plan the moves ahead. So when Caicedo left, was he the replacement for Caicedo? Is that how it was?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that was the plan. That was the succession planning. And you know, he played in French football a bit, but he hadn't played loads of games. He hadn't racked up like tons of games. So I was really intrigued by it when they signed him. And then you see the leap that he's made. And I can totally understand why they're interested. I'm sure Brighton will dig their heels in, and like these things always seem to go, it'll depend on the player. But it's quite interesting that United are going so strongly without getting players off the wage bill, because at some stage we keep hearing how they've had to make cost savings, they've had to cut down on administrative staff and all of that. And I know that's not necessarily the same thing as transfers, right? I get that. But it's just quite interesting, because when you're trying to get players out the door, you know, clubs who potentially would buy them are going to say, well, we know you've got to get these guys off the wage bill and get some transfers in. So that's going to drive the prices right down for some of these guys.
What will Brighton, we know Brighton, I mean, I'm surprised Chelsea haven't come in for him, in all honesty, but I just want
it might happen.
Don't discount it.
Glad you said that, because I was going to say that.
But we've seen how brilliantly Tony Bloom can do. They drive a hard bargain. They tend to get the price they want. What will get him out of that contract? What will be enough for Brighton to say, thank you, we'll move on, and you can take him?
I must admit, I genuinely don't know what their thinking would be, because I think they'd look in the market, and obviously Caicedo was more of a proven guy, right, with a longer track record.
Yeah.
But you look at what he went for, well over 100 million. Like by a significant margin. And they would look at that and they wouldn't expect to get that, but they wouldn't want him to go this window. So, you know, to my knowledge, there isn't a release in there. There may be, but that's not something I'm aware of. So I imagine they would drive a hard bargain, and you'd be looking not that Caicedo kind of level, but not massively short of that, because they'll know that kind of player who can be really dynamic in midfield and really get you moving. Really, really important player.
In just 2 years ago, they signed him for £26 million. So, you know, they'll be looking
be a lot more than that.
Well, you know, you potentially could treble, you know, what they paid. Kev, you're a superstar. Appreciate your time, bud. We'll catch up throughout the rest of the transfer window.
Blessings.
Cheers,
Kev. Blessings.
Cheers, bud. Kevin Atchod. That's our latest look at all the transfer action with Kevin Atchod. Thanks to talkSPORT Bet. Terms and conditions by 18+, begambleaware.org.
Bring it on with talkSPORT Bet. From weekly broadcast boosts to lucky dips and brilliant bet builders, bring it on at talksportbet.com. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Next up, we're going to have a little bit of fun with the rest of talkSPORT. You are listening to the Sports Bar here with talkSPORT Bet. Download the new talkSPORT Betting app today. 18+, begambleaware.org. Yes, this is the record-breaking Sports Bar here on talkSPORT. Cundy and Akinfenwa taking you up to 1 a.m. Still to come, going through the back pages you're waking up to tomorrow morning, your croissant, your orange juice and your coffee, whatever your breakfast. And we have a little bit of midnight trib. That's around about 25 minutes' time. Make sure you help myself and Bayu out. 03717223344. First up, though, it's time for this. Yeah, it's the rest of talkSPORT, run through some of the more recent highlight moments across the talkSPORT network. Let's kick things off. This morning's Brekkie show as Jeff Stelling is joined by former Republic Ireland midfielder, my former captain Andy Townsend, to discuss Ipswich adding Ed Sheeran to the list of their players when announcing their squad numbers for this season.
I don't quite get that, to be honest with you. I mean, look, listen, I know Ed is a fanatical supporter of his team, investor at the club, whatever, and loves his football. Do we start giving shirts to very famous celebrity fans? I, again, don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I could have understood if they'd have turned around to Ed and said, here, number 99. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
But number 17 is a number that you'd have thought one of the players would maybe want, or one of the players might, a younger player. Gone are the days when you get 1 to 11 and things like that. Those days are long gone. But for younger players trying to break into that Ipswich team, Jeff, their numbers, so when you're up in the 40s, you're sort of only going to be getting a few minutes here and there. When all of a sudden you start getting a number like potentially number 17, then I don't know. It's just something that you look forward to maybe getting. But listen, Ed is no doubt probably their biggest and most famous fan.
Your face.
What was he chatting about? What? Nah, sorry.
Ed Sheeran's got 17.
Listen, do you know what, right? And this is just me. I'm like, Ed Sheeran, the worst thing is he was reeling it off. Said, big name. Investor.
He's an investor. That's the key word there.
As soon as he said that, I was like, but if he was number 10, you better give him number 10. All of a sudden, you're like, look, and now long gone the days, he said it. Numbers, you've got players wearing 9 plus 9 and 60. Like, numbers now they're not the same as.
No, but he's on the back of the. When you go through their team, right? He's got a squad number back.
Yeah. Ed let me just land. Let me make you land, right? We talk about Man United being a global pool. We can't. Football's a business. Yeah. Ed Sheeran's the biggest star in the world.
One of.
And I'll
give you that.
So when you're like,
wait, so it's a smart move,
come on, it's absolutely smart. Like you can't.
Plus, he's invested millions.
Yeah, but you lot just want to take his money and not give him no shirt. You lot are bad, yeah. Nah, let him have it. In my opinion. But if he's putting money in your club so you can go buy players, let him have a shirt number.
What about if Liverpool, right? What if they give it to Jimmy Tarbuck? Jimmy Tarbuck, right? Starts investing, right, in Liverpool, right? Big, Liverpool, big, massive fan, big fan, right?
Giving hella money first. Is he giving a lot of money? Is he a big investor?
He's a big investor.
I just need to know that, Investor. And he wanted number 18?
Yeah, you give it to Jimmy Tarbuck.
What the? Let him have it on his back, yeah? Then we can go and get Isak and them man there.
Gets no PSR. That's what they should do, Newcastle. They should give Anton Deck. They should give him a squad number. Those boys will invest. Hey, they're wealthy enough.
Yeah, but they got hella money as well. Yeah, man. No, I'm cool with that, to be fair.
Okay, remember, the breakfast returns tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. as Natalie Sawyer, the hard-working Natalie Sawyer, and Gabby Agbonlahor will be joined by host of Guessing Called and Fuma Newcastle winger, Andros Town and England Lioness, Alex Greenwood.
Over to talk now, where earlier this afternoon, Racing Live brought you 3 live races from Brighton. Ian the Moose was out roaming and he caught up with the Scotland gaffer, Steve Clark.
Do you ever ride a horse?
Never sat on a horse in my life, and I don't think it ever will now at this age.
No, probably not, although it would be quite fun.
One thing, you've never sat on a horse, surely. If you have, I feel sorry for the horse.
If you had, you'd know the horse because it'll be injured, sadly. Who are your favourite jockeys?
Favourite jockey? Oh, I love the Moose.
Let me ask a question, right? What do you make of the stick Moose gets?
Do you know what, mate? I think the Moose kind of likes it. I think he enjoys the fact that he's called the Moose because, I see the Moose pretty much every other week at Stamford Bridge. He's probably there. So I see the Moose. He not necessarily comes in the studio, in the office that much anymore, but I bump in the Moose. But here's the thing. He's got his own branded talkSPORT Moose T-shirt. And he's got his own talkSPORT He's got his jacket. It's got the moose on it. So I think he must like it. No one wants to be called a moose, do they? You know, if I called you,
don't call me
not.
I ain't gonna lie.
It's not a compliment.
But do you know what I like is that he's flipped it and made it his own.
He's owned it.
He's owned it.
Yes, he's owned
you
it.
Know what I'm saying? He's made it his unique selling point.
He has.
Like, they said the moose. He said moose.
Yeah, that's it. That's who I am.
He said I'm the moose.
That's the moose.
Yeah. So I'm called. I questioned because they asked him. Has he ever ridden? Have you ever ridden a horse?
I have ridden a horse.
Swear down.
I have ridden a horse. Yeah, when I was younger, I think I went on a school trip somewhere. And by the way, when we were going through, I think we were trekking or doing something, and whenever you kick them, that's when they go. And I did that, and his horse bolted. I'm not afraid to say it, mate. I absolutely.
You scared yourself? Oh, yeah,
mate. It was frightening.
It was a school trip. That's high society.
I think it was, mate. No, not really. Not the school I went to.
I was about to say.
Not the school I went to.
There ain't no horses in
No.
South Africa. Obviously, there ain't no horses went to school. I was
going down Wimbledon High Street. No, I was out in some trek. I was out in some, maybe away for the weekend or something. You used to go away. I think it might have been one of them. But I tell you, mate, that was frightening. I've been on the back of a camel.
Oh, yeah? No, to me, that's all right.
You've been on the back of a camel?
Yeah.
They go down the knees. Mate, how weird's that when they get up?
I ain't going to lie. Yeah. You have to hold on for dear life.
You're going to topple over.
I ain't going to lie, I was scared because I'm a big guy and them camels are bigger.
Oh, dearie me. Yes, it's when they bolt, mate, they're scary, by the way. The race returns live, by the way, the Brighton Festival tomorrow. That's afternoon from 1 a.m. Let's finish off with a clip from talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Earlier this week, of course, we saw an incredible finish to the last Test series between England and India. Here's a lighter moment from the End of the Day podcast with John Norman and Neil Manthorpe.
Dropped a couple of catches, has failed in the last couple of Test matches, has been booted out of the slip.
Whoa! Well, that's an outtake.
There's the clip. That's us sorted.
Shall we finish?
1 million
the
views.
Collapsed. All right.
Did you see? I try. Is it still? Are we still in frame?
And that was Neil Manthorpe there, just collapsing there like they were sat on a wall, right? Everyone's had one of those moments, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had one of those moments on camera?
Yeah, like a few times, like, when it's live. You know what I'm saying? But I always say, man, I'm cool with being I let the world know when I mess up.
Right, okay.
Like,
so you don't mind being you don't mind if that happened to you, fair enough.
Yeah, man. Like, don't get twisted. You have to laugh.
You've got to laugh at yourself.
You have to. Like, I think certain things are like I think you can't. I don't think you can take on the internet. I don't think you can't take on a football stadium, like the crowd.
Yeah.
So when you fall down, bro, you just
got to accept. Everyone's done it, right?
It's got to be like
a little bit embarrassing.
Do you know what
happened to me once, right? This would have been about 20. So I've been here at talkSPORT a long time. The old talkSPORT towers, right? We used to have talkSPORT TV, and it was on one of the channels that you could find on Sky around the 800s.
All right, yeah.
You know, around the 800s, 900s. You know what you get?
I was like,
you know, you get out there.
You get to the 800s and 900s.
Right.
No. Yes.
You do, right? Anyway, talkSPORT. We had talkSPORT TV, right? And there was all the nothing like it is today. We're a TV station essentially, right?
Yeah.
Now, we're sat in the TV studio. But so a bit of the paraphernalia from behind collapsed, and it was a big kind of steel pole, and it smacked me on the back of the head. And I'm sure it's somewhere. It was caught on film. I'm guaranteed someone can find it somewhere, right? Mate, didn't know what hit me. Do you know what I thought? I was doing a show with a lad called Patrick Kingle. I thought, because I was reading, I thought he'd come in the back of the head and punch me.
Smacked you?
I thought he punched me in the back of the head.
What did you do then? After that,
I turned round, I see all the set. That's what it was like back there. The set. Imagine this set collapsing on us. That's basically what happened to me, mate.
But were you as professional?
Well, I tried to carry on, mate, but I was in shock.
I tried to carry I can't believe what just happened.
What do you do, though? What do you do?
Just carry on.
Just got to carry on, got to try and be professional. When you work in live media, TV and radio, there's always something potentially that can go wrong. As we found from our friend earlier that said that Eddie Murphy plays for Newcastle.
Yes. Eddie Murphy.
For live commentaries, interviews and podcasts, make sure you subscribe to the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel. Of course,
Eddie Murphy.
And of course, you can make sure you have the talkSPORT app wherever you can swipe between talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2 and all of our sister stations, so you never miss a moment. Up next, though, we go through tomorrow's back pages that you wake up to. What's your breakfast, Bayo? So I said croissant, orange juice, bacon. What do you do? What's your breakfast?
I don't eat breakfast.
What do you mean you don't eat breakfast?
Intermittent fast. Dude. Intermittent fast, that sounds very proper, innit?
So what do? You go to the gym every day?
I do the bike every day.
You do the bike every day? So you don't have any breakfast?
No.
So what time's your first meal?
Depends on what. So if I'm just a normal day, first meal will be 3:30.
Oh my word!
Yeah, and it will be an omelette. So if you follow me, it's an omelette which I make the baddest.
What's in the omelette? What's in the Bayo omelette?
So I have turkey.
Oh, you've gone for that meat, yeah.
Turkey, onions, just turkey, onions.
Yeah.
Roll it up. Skip.
Yeah. How many eggs?
3.
3 eggs.
3 eggs. Oh yeah, and then I have fruit. So I have strawberries, grapes, blueberries, and I have Greek yogurt with honey. And I have
That's a healthy.
That's the first.
Healthy lunch. What's that? It's not even lunch.
Oh, yeah, well, it's like it's a lunch. That's what I have.
Right.
And at night time, like depends how hungry I am, but
So
that's what I do.
You must eat more than that throughout the day.
No, so that'd be my first meal.
Yeah. What's?
Oh, it depends what it is. Then it could be potato, chicken, coleslaw.
So no breakfast for Bayo?
Nah, man, no breakfast. Well, you have breakfast. So
Do you know what? Right, I've started getting into smoothies, mate. So all the fruit, the frozen fruit,
good
spinach. Get spinach in there.
Yeah, I don't really do that. My brother does the spinach.
The spinach in there. No. You don't taste it because it just goes in the.
You do, man. It's that.
You don't.
If you have smoothies,
the spinach. Cucumber goes in there. Mango. That's what I'm
mango, nice.
The mango. That takes away the old.
Oh, that.
We also have the midnight triv that takes place in around about 14 minutes time. Make sure you get your calls in to help myself and Bayo. You are listening to the Sports Way on TalkSport with TalkSport Bet. Download the new TalkSport Bet app today. 18+. BeGambleAware.org. He's Akinfenwa. I'm Jason Cundy. This is the Sports Bar here on talkSPORT. It's now time to go through the Ralph Ellis Bet pages. Now, we haven't spoken to him for a while. It's the Chelsea correspondent for The Athletic. It's Simon Johnson. Si, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm all right, matey. How's your summer been? Well, now we're world champions, right? I mean...
Oh, don't, Simon, you don't start with him, Si, please.
I'm not a world champion, not yet anyway. I'm working on it. It's still time. There's still time in my life to become a world champion at something. Maybe talking nonsense, I could win a trophy for that.
Well, I'm still going to bang that world champions dry. Listen, let's go for the back page. The back page of the Sun. Griller blow. Howe's Isak barbecue snub as Cop sell to make new bid. Right, get it now. Okay. Below it says 78.5 million. Šeško opts for Manchester United over two. And the love triangle between Newcastle, Man United, and Liverpool is still very much alive and well.
Yeah, real domino effect, one would imagine. But let's start with Alexander Isak and the story of the summer. Let's be honest, and it's taken an extra sort of bitter twist in terms of Eddie Howe and Newcastle. They're clearly still not very happy with his behaviour. So much so that he was ordered to come into training after sort of the main group had not only trained, but then had the sort of rather what's become a tradition at Newcastle, a bonding session with players and families with a barbecue. He wasn't invited to the barbecue, something that I'm very familiar with in my own personal life. It's a very sad state of affairs when you get left out of a barbecue, but it just shows Eddie Howe wasn't joking. A few days ago, he talked about Isak put it this way, he said no player can expect to act poorly and train with the group as normal. You have to earn the right. So Eddie Howe clearly sticking by his guns, but you have to sort of think that there's only one conclusion to this. As much as Newcastle fans hope, and well, perhaps they don't hope the way that Isak has been behaving, but when it gets to this sort of bitter level where a player is being sort of ostracised from the main group, you do sort of fear that Newcastle may decide to take the money from Liverpool. And of course, you refer, Jay, to money being raised. They've just essentially agreed a deal with Al Hilal to sell Darwin Núñez for up to £56.6 million. So that'll bring some nice little money in. And when you think they've already sold Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich too, yes, Liverpool have spent this summer, but they're starting to recoup quite a significant sum back into the kitty as well to fund what is surely going to be a second bid for
Okay, so just on that, right? I agree with you, but there's so much money involved in this that it does feel that these deals tend to get done when we're talking these sort of numbers. However, Bear and I were talking earlier about the fact that if Newcastle can't get anyone to replace Isak, they might find themselves in a position where they can't sell yet, and the clock might run out. There's a chance of that as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point, in fairness, and I think this is kind of alluding to the third story you mentioned. The third member of this is Šeško. Šeško chooses United's back page of the Times, and this is United as in Manchester United, not Newcastle United. Of course, this is another player that Newcastle have gone for, but all the reports are that Šeško has chosen Manchester United, even though the Times report that at the time being, United's bid is $4 million lower than Newcastle's. But once a player has sort of indicated that his preference, it makes it very difficult from here on in for Newcastle to get him. He's apparently agreed personal terms with Manchester United, and this could be another one that gets away when you sort of had sort of João Pedro joined Chelsea, Ekitike joined Liverpool. So this would be another setback. But yeah, I mean, maybe you're right, Jason, that if they don't get the person they want, then their resolve to keep Isak will be even stronger. But of course, it makes welcoming him back and integrating him back into the camp just a little bit more of a touchy subject.
Moving on to Star Sport, Lona, Everton will have to stump up around 12 million if they want to land Jack Grealish on loan from City for this season. 12 million?
12 million. Yeah, I mean, it's a significant fee. You can understand why Manchester City would be asking for it, given they paid 100 million for him in the first place. But I think this would be a great move for Everton. Still got a lot to offer. Jack Grealish, yes, he's 29. He's had a disappointing, coming off the back of a disappointing season with City, where he started 7 league games and was left out of the Club World Cup squad. But you also sort of think that this is going to be a hungry Jack Grealish, that the World Cup is only a year away. He's going to be wanting to catch Thomas Tuchel's eye. Part of the sort of the agreement will have to be Everton's paying a huge chunk of his $300,000 a week salary. But I think David Moyes is looking at this situation going, cool, we could get a really good player here. And yeah, okay, it may only initially be for the season, but I think 12 million is a price worth paying for a player like Jack Grealish.
I agree. I totally agree with you. It's a great move for everyone, I think, for Jack to get his career back on track, and for Everton and Manchester City to try and move on. Back page of the Times. Remember me, Pepe returns to haunt Arsenal. It's a pre-season friendly, but they got beat home 3-2 by Villarreal.
Yeah, crisis at Arsenal. That's consecutive friendly defeats. I think Arteta out is once again now. Look, it's pre-season. It's nothing to be too alarmed about. I always think, yes, okay, sometimes pre-season form can ring some genuine alarm bells, but it's not really a big deal. I mean, there's a nice little story that Pepe scored one of the goals, of course, but really everyone's focus is on, for example, Gyökeres's got another run out, and Arteta is already starting to like what he's seeing from him. He's saying he's a bit behind in the. He's playing catch-up in terms of training and his fitness, so inevitably it might take a little while before that first goal, and I'm sure Arsenal fans don't care about him scoring in friendlies. They want him to score when the season actually starts. The real sort of talking point, again, though, really, from an Arsenal performance is this 15-year-old wonder kid, Max Doman, who put in another fine cameo performance off the bench, won another penalty. That's 2 penalties he's won now. Yeah, I heard. And Arteta's saying he deserves his chances. So could we be seeing Max Doman sort of actually play a bit of a role in Arsenal's season? I mean, it'd be a wonderful story. We don't want to put too much pressure on the young kid. You know, he is only 15, but he plays as if, you know, he doesn't care. You know, he's loving his football, and it's great to watch.
Indeed, the boy looks a superstar in the making. Arsenal's academy, some of the young players. Skelly's another one. He's a shoo-in for the England squad, no doubt about that. And Wanyeri on the other side. So, yes, exciting times ahead for Arsenal. Si, thank you very much for joining us, bud. I'll give you a ring on the way home, all right?
Lovely chat. No worries. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Care, mate.
That's the Ralph Ellis back pages with Simon Johnson. Next up, though, it's the time for a little bit of fun. Midnight Triv. We need your help. Myself and Bayo, we cannot do it without you. There's going to be all sorts of questions from general knowledge, from sport, football, everything. But we need you to help us out. 03717 223344. This is the Sports World. talkSPORT Bet. Download the new talkSPORT Bet out today. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.